Kia ora, good morning and welcome to Herald Now. I'm Ryan Bridge. It is Friday the 15th of August. Great to have your company this morning. Coming up on the show, with less than 24 hours until the Ukraine summit, the fighting continues and so does the diplomacy. There's even a moose on the loose in Anchorage as Trump threatens sanctions ahead of his meeting with Putin. Too many pine trees. Fed farmers say the Select Committee report on carbon forestry doesn't go far enough to save New Zealand's productive farmland. The President, Wayne Langford, is live on the show this morning. And we love our dogs, but sometimes our four-legged friends need friends of their own. We meet the woman, the Kiwi woman, behind the new app that's all about dating doggy style. Plus, Willie Jackson and Mark Mitchell are on our political panel for your Friday morning. Lots ahead, including your chance to win a trip to Japan, the trip of a lifetime. First, here's Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
A consensus, the upcoming talks between US and Russian leaders is potentially a win for Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's meeting with US President Donald Trump in Alaska tomorrow, and there are fears it could lead to a deal forcing painful compromises for Ukraine. Kiwi photojournalist Tom Much told the Herald's Front Page podcast, Ukraine is correct to call this a victory for Putin.
It also looks bad because Donald Trump and his advisors don't seem to have a particularly good grasp of the battlefield dynamics or the geography or the culture of the various regions they're talking about.
Israel's deputy foreign minister's denying her government's responsible for Gaza's humanitarian crisis in defending her prime minister. Shireen Haskell's criticised our prime minister Christopher Luxon for saying Benjamin Netanyahu's lost the plot. Hundreds of people are dying from starvation and malnutrition. Haskell's accused the UN of handing out aid to Hamas and says it hasn't sent the proper agencies to the Strip.
That are capable, that have the logistics, the expertise to deal in crisis, in humanitarian crisis, like the World Food Organization, UNICEF and World Health Organization.
A scene examination will be carried out over the next few days after yesterday's police shooting in Christchurch. Armed police flocked to the suburb of Brindwa on Wednesday night, one of whom shot a man carrying a hunting knife, fearing he'd injure a woman. The officer then shot the woman, killing her, when she grabbed the knife and threatened officers. Pendleton Community Board member David Cartwright says he feels for the officer involved. The government's being advised to mobilise the private sector in the fight against organised crime. It's put together an advisory group on transnational, serious and organised crime. Its latest report states the threat is rapidly evolving and calls for a mature conversation about privacy settings. The group highlights fragmented cross-agency coordination and insufficient engagement with the private sector, despite its potential as a partner. And it's also recommending developing a national information sharing framework and improving sharing with Pacific neighbours. The report says this can be done without compromising privacy safeguards. Some big questions ahead for Wellington City councillors on how to cover a major budget blowout for its new sludge minimisation facility. It was originally expected to cost about $200 million. It will now cost more than $500 million. Chief Infrastructure Officer Jenny Chetwynd has told councillors officials are flagging the issue as early as they can.
This is fulfilling our commitment to you as learnt from the Town Hall experience, I think. I've learnt a lot about what happened there. To bring things to you as quickly as possible so you can fulfil your role as city leaders and make these decisions.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Melbourne and Penrith have staged a Golden Point thriller to open round 24 of the NRL League season. Storm hooker Harry Grants turned into Harry Houdini with a dummy in front of the post to score the try, which won the match 22-18. Netball New Zealand is combating the loss of Silver Ferns to Australia's super competition by allowing each ANZ Premiership franchise to sign 2 imports instead of 1. The first round draw for tonight's New Zealand Darts Masters has been revealed, with the top 4 seeds pitted against local Aerosmiths.
You're watching Herald Now on your Friday morning. A big 24 hours, hopefully a big 24 hours for Ukraine. Hopefully we will get a positive result from this meeting between Trump and Putin that's happening in Alaska. quick rundown on the actual batting order. There'll be a face-to-face meeting between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump in a closed, behind closed doors in a closed meeting space with translators present. Then, providing that goes okay, they will move to lunch together. They'll dine with diplomats. Putin is bringing his finance minister. There'll be other officials, of course, from the US and the Kremlin there. Then they are expecting to hold a press conference together. Last time they did this was in Helsinki in 2018. They're expecting to do a joint press conference, which should be Saturday afternoon our time, with an update on what actually happened in the talks. This is a loose plan, and just want to emphasise that. And we know after what happened with Zelensky at the White House that things can change quickly. This, of course, comes as the fighting continues. Take a look at this. This is from Russia overnight, from the Belgorod border region. You can see this is a car, civilian car, hit by a Ukrainian drone. Thankfully, these Russians actually get out of the car. They're wounded, but they're okay. Wounded but okay. Ukraine fired dozens of drones at Russia overnight, sparking fires in two southern regions, including an oil refinery. Meanwhile, Russia's defence ministry has released this video they say shows that they've captured two towns in eastern Ukraine. Russian forces took the villages in Ukraine's Donetsk region, which the Kremlin claimed to have annexed in September of 2022. So the fighting continues. Hopefully, with tomorrow's talks, the fighting will soon stop. We've got our political panel coming and Stephen Hoadley, the foreign affairs expert, next. It's weather.
Herald Now weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning, finally Friday, and we're heading into an okay weekend, at least the first half of it, but today is dominated by a ridge of high pressure, just a weak front moving east across the lower south, and that will dish up a few showers for the deep south and over Milford Sound. Should clear by tonight, with westerlies turning northerly for Southland. Now, the developing nor'easterly will help lift temperatures today for the northern half of the island. The day itself is fine, just a few clouds around out west. Apart from the odd morning shower, today is mainly fine here. Westerlies for most, easing by the afternoon with a northerly for Wellington. It's a lovely day here. Once any frost or fog clears, winds are mostly light with a westerly for Hawke's Bay, easing this afternoon. And more fine skies for the upper north. A very cold start, but it is fine with light winds and warming to 15 or 16 degrees.
Just gone 6 minutes after 7 on Herald Now. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, they will meet tomorrow in Alaska, of course, but we've had Zelensky and Starmer meeting at Downing Street. Here is what Starmer had to say post-match.
For years, this conflict has been going on, and we haven't got anywhere near the prospect of actually a viable solution, a viable way of bringing it to a ceasefire. And now we do have that chance because of the work that the President has put in.
Рассказать о том, на каком этапе мы находимся с американской администрацией сегодняшней, которая, как всем хорошо известно, предпринимает, на мой взгляд, достаточно энергичные и искренние усилия для того, чтобы прекратить боевые действия, прекратить кризис и выйти на договоренности, представляющие интерес для всех вовлеченных в этот конфликт сторон.
So that was obviously President Putin, and before that it was Starmer post his Zelensky conference. Now, speaking at his own press conference this morning, Trump says he's keen on a second meeting, which will hopefully include Zelensky, may or may not include Trump himself, and possibly other European leaders.
We have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good meeting, but the more important meeting will be the second meeting that we're having. We're going to have a meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, myself, and maybe we'll bring some of the European leaders along, maybe not. I don't know that it's going to be very important. We're going to see what happens. And I think President Putin will make peace. I think President Zelensky will make peace. We'll see if they can get along.
Now, crucially, is this a diplomatic meeting or is this a business meeting? The Kremlin, reportedly, according to The Guardian overnight, is going to really hone in on that, on Trump's desire. You know, he's a businessman. He wants to make deals. So are they going to talk about oil in the Bering Sea? Are they going to talk about rare earth minerals? What exactly is up for discussion? Well, this morning we're joined by Stephen Hoadley, who's a foreign affairs expert with us. Stephen, good morning to you. What are you expecting to see from this first initial meeting?
Well, first of all, just getting to know each other. Trump has lowered expectations. He's focused on subsequent meetings. He's having a lunch. The Minister of Finance is there from Russia, not the Minister of Foreign Affairs, not the Minister of Defense. So I think you're quite right in your very astute introduction that this might be more of a business talk than a strategic talk.
Is that necessarily a bad thing? If business is what gets peace, does it matter how you got there?
Well, let's distinguish peace from a ceasefire. We want a ceasefire in the first instance and stop the missiles going in both directions, particularly from Russia into the residential areas of Ukraine. These are war crimes, and Putin is indicted as a war criminal by the International Criminal Court for exactly what he continues to be doing every day, as we've seen on your voiceover. So if a ceasefire can be arranged and not at the expense of Ukraine's minerals, not at the expense of United States and European defense integrity, that would be a good thing. I'm not too optimistic that that can be done. Certainly Trump his language is a little more strict now than it has been in the past. He's talked about sanctions. He's talked about losing patience. He wants to get a quick resolution, at least a ceasefire. Peace is way down the track, but a quick ceasefire because he wants to fulfill his campaign promises. And of course, there's that Nobel Prize application looming in the background. So he wants quick action. I didn't see anything in your clip on Putin that he has offered anything in return, that he's offered any concessions, that he has changed his position, which has been very consistent for the last 2 years. So I'm just wondering, where is there room for compromise?
But there has to be, right? Otherwise, those consequences that Trump talked about will presumably kick in shortly after the meeting concludes. What about this idea that Putin needs this war to stay in power, that without it, if he concedes too much, then he loses his mandate and potentially his grip on the Kremlin?
I think that's astute. Certainly, he staked his future on the war, on the special military operation to bring Ukraine into Russia's orbit. If he concedes very much, he will certainly lose credibility in Russia itself, and maybe lose his position. But so he's treading a delicate line where he will just give enough concessions to keep Trump from escalating military assistance to Ukraine, to keep the Europeans from doing the same, but at the same time continue Russia's slow grinding advance in Donetsk at enormous cost to Russian soldiers and Russian equipment. But nevertheless, it seems that Russia is on the advance, slowly, painfully, with great cost, and that he has no intention of altering that trajectory.
Stephen, what about hard to put ourselves in the shoes of the Ukrainians, but just this idea that you've got the leader of the free world and a guy that the International Criminal Court has said likely committed war crimes. They've issued an arrest warrant for him, sitting down together, having a chat far away in Alaska from where your countrymen are being bombed by drones. Just an incredible thing to think about, really, isn't it?
Well, Alaska was a brilliant choice. Whoever made it, maybe Putin, because he can fly directly from Moscow to Anchorage. He doesn't have to pass over any of those countries that would arrest him if his airliner had to land in them. He goes directly to the United States. He gets full honors as a head of state visiting. And also, you may have seen Russian media are now portraying Alaska as ripe for return to Russia. That if Trump can claim Canada, well, why can't Russia claim Alaska back again? So, you know, Russian nationalism is in play here as well, and that ties in with your previous comment that Putin is riding that wave of Russian nationalism. He seems to have the public behind him. There is only one TV channel, that's Channel Putin, only one radio channel, that's Radio Putin. So the Russian public appear to be willing to go along with Putin at the present time.
Stephen, excellent analysis as always. Really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being with me. That's Stephen Hoadley, the international affairs expert on this Ukraine summit, which takes place tomorrow our time. It's 14 minutes after 7. It will be a tense political meeting between two men, speaking of which, we've got one this morning. Joining us, National Minister Mark Mitchell and Labor's Willie Jackson. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to see you both. Willie, everyone's obviously hopeful something's going to... Do you reckon anything's going to come of this?
It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? Considering Mr. Trump, President Trump, said he'd have it all fixed up within 24 hours, didn't he? 48 hours.
He did.
It's going to be fascinating what Putin puts up. They say, we all know Trump's a businessman, so they reckon that it's going to be all about economics, and I think Putin will probably try and avoid the corridor about the Ukraine. But this is a big one for Trump. There's so many expectations, and the world is watching. I mean, it'd be great if we could get a deal. So many people suffering over there.
Yeah.
So let's see what Trump's made of.
Fingers crossed. Back home, we have in the last 24 hours had quite a serious incident in Christchurch. Minister, obviously your police hat on here. Police have shot 2 people. One of them has sadly passed away. What are your thoughts, reactions to what's happened?
Oh, look, it's just an extremely difficult and stressful situation for all of those involved. A worst case scenario for any police officer when they have to use force like that. So my heart goes out to them and their families, and of course for the family of those, the person that was injured and the woman that was killed. My condolences and thoughts go out to them also. I never ever second guess what happens in an operational situation, but full support behind our frontline police officers who unfortunately are having to deal with violent situations like this on a daily basis.
Not specific to this case, but a lot of people have asked our newsroom, how come they don't... Are police routinely armed with tasers? How come tasers aren't used in a as a first resort in a situation?
So the police have a range of different tactical options, but like I said, I never second guess what happens. None of us were there at the time. None of us know what actually happened. I do know that we've got a world-class police force with world-class training, and like I said, that is a worst-case scenario for a police officer having to take that type of action. It now goes into an IPCA investigation. We should all wait until the findings of that come out. I can tell you that this will be extremely stressful on those police officers and their families, and we're making sure that we've got proper support around them. And on the other side of course, like I said, our condolences go out to the families that were impacted.
Right, Willie, your union mates are going on strike. You've got the teachers, you've got the nurses. What do you think? Is the government being stingy with 1% a year, or are the teachers being a bit greedy with 4% a year?
Geez, that's a good question, isn't it? There's a lot of stingy ass. There's no doubt about it. They've been stingy to all the communities, and the communities are rising up. I mean, they're sick of the way they're being treated. What is it? What are we talking 1%?
We're talking 1% per year.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a constant attack from this government in terms of what's happening with workers' wages, with communities, with and you're seeing the response, and we're going to see thousands on the streets, and this is going to happen more and more over the next 16 months. I mean, you just need some honest and reasonable negotiations.
So would you guys give them what they want? You'd give them more than 1%?
We'd give them more than 1%, no doubt about that.
2%?
Absolutely.
3%?
Well, I'm not sure. We're not in negotiations. All you should know, we'd give them more than these rotten Tories at the moment, all right? Mark knows that.
Mark, 1% is less than inflation, right?
He knows, he agrees.
The problem is this is my second go round now, second go in government, where We come into government and we come in after a Labor-led
Oh,
government.
you're going to blame us. Right.
Well, that has put inflation
That's
through the
right.
roof,
Okay.
put us into recession, interest rates through the roof.
Right.
Sprayed $66 billion around and got nothing to show for it.
No, just save 20,000 lives.
And we have to come in, Willie, and we have to actually clean that mess up, and that's what we're doing at the moment, because we want our kids to come back from overseas. We want Kiwis to have an opportunity, but we can't do it when you've got a Labor government that's driven us into a ditch, with the economy into a ditch, and we've got to pull it back out again.
This debate's been going all week, because you're referencing the COVID thing, you're talking about the billions that were spent as well. Isn't the problem here not how much we're spending, but how the quality of the spending? You guys did a lot of spending on a lot of things that perhaps wasn't the quality that it should have been. Do you accept that there were mistakes made with where you put the money?
Well, no, I accept you're talking generally a load
I don't know where the money went,
no,
the problem.
No, I accept that generally you're talking a load of rubbish, all right? That's what I accept. And I'm sick and tired of your anti-Labor...
Just answer the question, where'd the money go? Show us the money,
I've just answered it. This COVID inquiry is a case in point. You know, with the witch hunt that's going on with you and Hoskins and every right-wing commentator. Can I just say the best commentator is Thomas Coughlin from the New Zealand Herald. You like Thomas? Did you read what Thomas said?
I read what
he
Thomas
said,
said last
this is an inquiry. This is all right, not a trial, and it's not a trial for Ryan and Mike, all right,
but what
and Heather to roll out. Hang on, let me finish. To roll out former leaders of the Labor Party, so you can get a hit. This is a shameful.
What about
this is shameful.
What about Wayne Mapp? Wayne Mapp turned up and gave evidence.
Mappy's a good guy.
What about the UK?
Hang on.
In the UK, they had exactly the same inquiry, and you had the Prime Minister turning up to it, right? So, Willie, I know you would turn up, mate. I know you'd have the guts to turn up and front up to it, but maybe you should have a talk with Chippy
I've had
and tell him, stop lurking around the press gallery and looking for a camera.
I said,
actually turn up in front of the public and explain what happened.
I'm going to be saying to Chippy, can I say congratulations, I'm really proud of you, because they all turned up and they've all given what was needed.
Turn up to the public.
No, you don't need to go to the public.
We're answerable to the public.
Here's the public inquiry. It was initiated by the ACT Party and the New Zealand First Party. It's a public witch hunt.
So
it's a shameful.
So hang on.
It's a shameful strategy. Your mate set it up. Your mate set it up.
So you only turn up in front of the public. You only turn up to the inquiry that you guys set up.
Yeah,
that's right.
Can I be very clear? We will not turn up to a public inquiry that's been set up by the ACT Party and New Zealand First Party, and the Prime Minister is too weak to actually manage this. He knows that this is a witch hunt. He knows what Labor's done, saving 20,000 lives. I'm so proud of what we did, and I'm proud that they showed up and gave evidence.
Well, that's
and
not what
all
your leader
the evidence was necessary. No, the leader.
Your leader said he wasn't turning up because Denton's advisors told him not to.
There's a few reasons, but you guys have got to stop. You've got to stop the witch hunt and back Thomas Coughlin.
Well, like I said, Willie would you'd turn up, right? You would turn up.
So the Tadao books has been another big story this week in the headlines, of course, and a lot of the framing of it has been that this is a racist move by Education Minister Erica Stanford. Willie, I am going to ask you what you think about it, but Mark, is there any reasonable reason or justification for taking away a couple of Tadao words from a kid's book?
Well, I think number one, Erica Stanford and her team are just doing an outstanding job in education to make sure that our kids can compete globally and actually get a meaningful education, right? And that's what parents expect as well. From what I understand is that the focus in that first year is on English. And then Te Reo was introduced, but they want that solid base in English. And I think that's a common sense and practical approach, and I think most people would agree with
Willie, we're talking about 5 and 6-year-old kids here, right? So the argument is that we want them to learn today as an official language. Kids should be learning it, absolutely, as is English, but that you want to teach them the languages separately because there's different vowel sounds. So you want to teach them English, for 1 hour, and then you might do today for half an hour or whatever. Can you see that rationale?
No, I think she's talking a load of rubbish. Now, I know she's been your darling, the darling of the media for the last week or so, and they're trying to create
they're
trying to create but like you're trying to paint her as a darling of the, this could be the future Prime Minister. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened in terms of te reo Māori and all that. See, I looked at it and I rang every Māori top academic that I knew. No one knows what the hell she is talking about, and you got to ask the question, who's advising the minister with this sort of rubbish? This is stuff that we've been on for many, many years. I spoke, I'm no teacher or academic, but I spoke Māori only to my two of my kids for the first 10, 11 years of their life, because they said that's the best time to hit them. And so I'm asking the question today, who's advising the minister with this sort of rubbish?
Well, you can't call JT, all the education advisors in New Zealand. You can't refer to JT.
No, seriously. If you go to the academics, tell me which academic apart from her advisor, who's her advisor?
No, I agree. I've been reading that from the academics too. But if you go overseas, right, plenty of countries teach kids how to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right.
Multiple languages.
But
the question is,
languages.
Yes, but the question is, do they do it separately? Do they do it?
No, they don't. And and I know there's something dark about this. It doesn't make any sense, but it goes in line with this government's agenda in terms of attacking the language.
So Willie hit
constantly.
on it.
Who's the advisor?
You hit on the point perfectly, right? Is that obviously a decision has been made. This is not my portfolio, it's Erica's.
Oh, that's clear as
the
hell.
experts have decided that we're going to focus on English in that first year. We're going to give them a solid base. I think that's pragmatic. I think it's good common sense. If, in your case, Willie, parents feel very strongly about introducing te reo in that first year, they can do that. There is nothing stopping them from doing that. But quite simply, the schools are going to focus on English.
Where is she today?
Very quick. Well, that is a good question.
Right.
Where is she?
Yeah.
Well, she's probably busy around visiting schools.
Hey, very quickly, Netanyahu. We had Luxon, the Prime Minister, come out yesterday and say that Netanyahu's lost the plot. We'd love to know what Winston thinks about those comments. Do you know?
Well, so I don't speak for Winston, but we've got an outstanding foreign minister, and I'm very careful about not moving into foreign policy areas. That's his job and the Prime Minister's job. The point the Prime Minister is quite simply making is we can all see the humanitarian disaster unfolding now. I've been very clear about this. We saw an absolute atrocity and provocation on the 7th of October by Hamas against Israel. And Israel, no one should disagree that they have every right to respond to that. And we've been very clear as the New Zealand government, in fact the Prime Minister was one of the first ones to move and designate Hamas as a terrorist group. But we see the
designated years ago as a terrorist group.
New Zealand designated Hamas as a terrorist group. He has been very clear about our position. He's been very clear.
Anyway, well done, Prime Minister. Keep it up.
You like that. All right. We'll leave it there, guys. 26 after 7. Good to see you both as always.
Thanks, mate.
Friday morning, our political panel with Mark Mitchell from National and Willie Jackson from Labour. It is 26 minutes after 7. Up next, Te Papa's new $155 million research centre. The government reckons it's crucial for saving our science. We'll speak to the boss next.
Are you considering a DIY kitchen, but just not sure if you can do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. With You Do It DIY Kitchens, you're in safe hands. And the customer support team really know their stuff. After all, they design and manufacture everything here in New Zealand. You do it, and you save money. So choose You Do It, the affordable DIY Kiwi kitchen with a great reputation. Visit newsroom.co.nz.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
I'm Hayden Scott and I'm a knife maker. I make knives from my workshop at home in West Auckland. Here in my previous life I was a chef, did that for 25 years. But I had this knife making thing that I was doing and had been doing for some time. And so that transition from finishing that 25-year career and taking the plunge into full-time knife maker, I had been building up to that, but I still had to take a leap.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost centre reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
You're watching Herald Now. It's 28 minutes after 7. The government's announced it's investing $155 billion into Te Papa's new research and storage facility, which is going to be based out in the Hutt, north of Wellington. It's a step proponents say will secure the scientific future of New Zealand. So what's going inside? Basically a bunch of fish by the sounds of it. Courtney Johnston is Te Papa Chief Executive. Good morning.
Morena.
Good to have you on the program. What is going inside?
Great to be here. Good. Beautiful day in Wellington.
What's going inside this facility?
So if I wish I had, I'm not allowed to because I can't at the museum, but I wish I had brought some of the specimens home with me so I could share them with you this morning. But if you can imagine a bunch of glass jars, a bit bigger than this, filled with over 860,000 of samples from New Zealand's natural history. So fish, we hold the largest collection of Southern Ocean fish in the whole world, but all sorts of things, centipedes, snails, seahorses, sharks. It's an incredible history. It goes back to the 1860s. First item came into the collection in 1869. It's an incredible record of New Zealand's natural environment that tells us not just about our past, but also gives us indications of where the future is going as well.
What exactly do they tell us? What is the point in having specimens?
Such a good question. You might be able to tell from my background, from an arts background, and so getting to know our natural history collections has been such a joy in this job. And one of the things that our scientists talk to me about is the fact that these collections are all about storing up the information that will help us answer questions now and into the future. So if we want to know how have fish stocks moved around the world, if we want to know is that a new species that hasn't been seen before in New Zealand, is that invasive, and we want to know is this species over here different from this species over here, these are the collections that help us answer all those questions.
And you said that the first specimen came from the 1800s. Who was collecting these specimens back then? And how have we kept them so well preserved all this time?
I know. Well, the magic of formalin and then alcohol. So that's why it's such a specialised facility. All of these collection items, from little tiny vials about that size to huge tanks with hundreds of litres of alcohol in them. And the alcohol preserves the specimens, and that's how we can keep things for over 150 years and, decades into the future as well.
Wow. Can you put me in one of these tanks? Just kidding. Just a tank full of booze sounds quite appealing on a Friday morning.
I don't know if you really want to get in with the fish. Like, I've seen them and I've smelt them, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it.
Oh, really? What are they just smell worse than a live one, I suppose?
I don't go around sniffing fish a lot. But yeah, there is a distinctive smell. I mean, these are working collections. The team described them as there are some wet, dirty spaces. Some people might remember when the colossal squid came into Te Papa's collection, we did a live dissection of it. It basically looks like you're in a garage with a big steel table and a bunch of scientists with this big mysterious creature. And one of the things we'll be able to do with this facility is live stream those kind of dissections and uncovering of new specimens coming into the collections for anyone who wants to watch.
That's cool. Courtney,
it is cool.
Very expensive price tag, I must say, but very cool. We look forward to seeing it being built. We look forward to the construction and then obviously visiting ourselves or tuning in via live stream. Courtney, thank you very much for being with me this morning. Courtney Johnston, who is the boss at Te Papa, our national museum. 28 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Ian Jones on the ABs in Argentina next. First, Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
A consensus the upcoming talks between US and Russian leaders is potentially a win for Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's meeting with US President Donald Trump in Alaska tomorrow, and there are fears it could lead to a deal forcing painful compromises for Ukraine. Kiwi photojournalist Tom Much told the Herald's front page podcast Ukraine is correct to call this a victory for Putin.
It also looks bad because Donald Trump and his advisors don't seem to have a particularly good grasp of the battlefield dynamics or the geography or the culture of the various regions they're talking about.
Israel's deputy foreign minister's denying her government's responsible for Gaza's humanitarian crisis in defending her prime minister. Shireen Haskell's criticised our prime minister Christopher Luxon for saying Benjamin Netanyahu's lost the plot. Hundreds of people are dying from starvation and malnutrition. Haskell's accused the UN of handing out aid to Hamas and says it hasn't sent the proper agencies to the Strip.
That are capable, that have the logistics, the expertise to deal in crisis, in humanitarian crisis, like the World Food Organization, UNICEF and World Health Organization.
A scene examination will be carried out over the next few days after yesterday's police shooting in Christchurch. Armed police flocked to the suburb of Brindwa on Wednesday night, one of whom shot a man carrying a hunting knife, fearing he'd injure a woman. The officer then shot the woman, killing her, when she grabbed the knife and threatened officers. Pendleton Community Board member David Cartwright says he feels for the officer involved. The government's being advised to mobilise the private sector in the fight against organised crime. It's put together an advisory group on transnational, serious and organised crime. Its latest report states the threat is rapidly evolving and calls for a mature conversation about privacy settings. The group highlights fragmented cross-agency coordination and insufficient engagement with the private sector, despite its potential as a partner. And it's also recommending developing a national information sharing framework and improving sharing with Pacific neighbours. The report says this can be done without compromising privacy safeguards. Some big questions ahead for Wellington City councillors on how to cover a major budget blowout for its new sludge minimisation facility. It was originally expected to cost about $200 million. It will now cost more than $500 million. Chief Infrastructure Officer Jenny Chetwynd has told councillors officials are flagging the issue as early as they can.
This is fulfilling our commitment to you as learnt from the town hall experience, I think. I've learnt a lot about what happened there. To bring things to you as quickly as possible so you can fulfil your role as city leaders and make these decisions.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Melbourne and Penrith have staged a Golden Point thriller to open round 24 of the NRL League season. Storm hooker Harry Grants turned into Harry Houdini with a dummy in front of the post to score the try, which won the match 22-18. Netball New Zealand is combating the loss of Silver Ferns to Australia's super competition by allowing each ANZ Premiership franchise to sign 2 imports instead of 1. The first round draw for tonight's New Zealand Darts Masters has been revealed, with the top 4 seeds pitted against local Aerosmiths.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning, finally Friday, and we're heading into an okay weekend, at least the first half of it, but today is dominated by a ridge of high pressure, just a weak front moving east across the lower south, and that will dish up a few showers for the deep south and over Milford Sound. Should clear by tonight, with westerlies turning northerly for Southland. Now, the developing nor'easterly will help lift temperatures today for the northern half of the island. The day itself is fine, just a few clouds around out west. Apart from the odd morning shower, today is mainly fine here. Westerlies for most, easing by the afternoon with a northerly for Wellington. It's a lovely day here. Once any frost or fog clears, winds are mostly light with a westerly for Hawke's Bay, easing this afternoon. And more fine skies for the upper north. A very cold start, but it is fine with light winds and warming to 15 or 16 degrees.
And you're watching Herald Now on your Friday morning. Loads of emails coming in already about the political panel, as you can imagine. Do get in touch with us, Ryan at nzherald.co.nz. That's Ryan at nzherald.co.nz, and we'll read your feedback out on air shortly. 23 away from 8. The All Blacks are set to face off against Argentina for the Rugby Championships opening match this weekend at Cordoba. The Pumas are known for their strong starts and their passionate play, qualities that ultimately saw them beat the All Blacks in last year's opener. So, how important are these first 20 minutes? Will Jordan yesterday said hugely important, massively important. Ian Jones is, of course, a former All Black General Manager at the All Blacks Experience in Auckland. Ian, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. And yes, I'm going to let you ask me some questions. You can speak on this interview, but you've nailed it exactly. How do we match their energy? How do we match their passion? Very, very hard, but you absolutely need to do that with a cool head. We're playing in Cordoba, a new test venue for the All Blacks. None of the All Blacks have kind of been up there at all. There'll be 57, and if you've got any 1,000 Argentinian mates, you know what they're like. They're passionate, they're intense, they're very patriotic, they're very proud. They're going to be all of that. So the All Blacks need to go out there, they need to be calm, but absolutely need to match it like Will Jordan said for the opening 20 minutes and then continue it. You need to keep that intensity on for the whole 80 minutes, which is easier said than done, but that's how you win in Argentina.
Because you mentioned the crowd, the new venue, the new All Blacks. There's a lot going on there, and what's it like those first few minutes? It must be because you've got all the energy, all the nerves, all the of that adrenaline going. What's it like?
Well, you think you're playing a game here at Eden Park. You go out there, it's quite calm before the game. You can kind of get yourself into it. You walk out into any stadium in Argentina an hour before kickoff, and it is intense. So you become quite intense. Right, you get into energy. So for an All Black, which is quite calm, and we need to be really pragmatic about what we do, you've got to try and bring that down. So to calm those nerves, really important. The senior members of the All Blacks absolutely bring the tone down a little bit, build it up with the intensity of the haka, and then match the energy of the opposition. So all of that wrapped up into a game, easier said than done, right?
I'm stressed
Ryan?
just listening to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why it's so important. And this game, opening game in the championship, really important. To have success in the Rugby Championship, you need to win your away games. We have 2 games in Argentina. Win those, set ourselves up to win the championship. So, but step by step.
Team naming in about 50 minutes' time. Any surprises?
No real surprises. We have the new halfback coming in. I'd imagine they're going to size for size. So Tupa Vai'i, who's a lock traditionally, been playing at 6. I assume he's going to play at 6 again, so we can match the size of the Argentinians. We're going to look to play a real fast game. Bowden Barrett should be starting at 10, in my opinion, because of that. And let's just go, Ryan. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We're very excited about Sunday. A great time, actually, too, for us to be getting up and watching on it. I mean, you skip church, obviously, which would be sad.
No, you can still do church. Go for your morning walk or run. 9:10, watch the TV.
Brilliant. Score prediction before we go?
Yeah, I still think the All Blacks by 20.
Brilliant. Yeah. All right. Big, bold call from you, but we will look forward to Sunday morning. Ian Jones, former All Black, of course, and General Manager for All Blacks Experience. Head along if you haven't. 19 away from 8 now. Right, for an update on the rural sector, we are going to Wayne Langford, who's with Fed Farmers. Do we have too many pine trees? Fed Farmers says a select committee report on carbon forestry doesn't go far enough to save our sheep and beef farmers from pine trees. Wayne's here. Hey, Wayne.
Morning, Ryan. Can you pick me up down on the farm?
Yeah, it's a little patchy, but there you are. Beautiful morning in Golden Bay.
Can't complain. The frost is just clearing and the sun's coming up there on the hills, so looking good so far.
Brilliant. Let's start with this report, shall we? This is our productive farmland, and you guys don't reckon that the select committee has quite grasped the gravity of what they're recommending here?
Yeah, so I think the intent's been good of what they're trying to achieve. The problem is that they haven't quite gone far enough, and so they've suggested the non-planting of class 1 to 5 land. Unfortunately, that only covers about 12% of the area that has been planted over the last decade or two. So what we're saying is that you need to go up into those other classes, include them as well. Otherwise, we're going to see the same problems continuing that we've had over the last decade, as I mentioned.
So you're talking about, this is claiming carbon credits, right? So the government is going to restrict land on which you can claim the carbon credits, which should disincentivise people from converting to forestry. You're saying they're not doing that on enough classes of land or enough of the land.
Yeah, so what we're saying is that there's some really good land being taken up and planted in pine trees, because there's obviously an incentive through the ETS scheme to do that. If we can challenge that and encourage people to plant in the areas, to be fair, where there probably should be trees or could be trees, that's what we want to encourage. But what we don't want to see is these full farm conversions where people are buying farms and they're planting the whole farm, whether it's the flat land, the moderate country, or the real steep country. We really want pine trees on, where they should go, and that's land where we can't have livestock in a lot of cases. That's the best land for it. It's a good place for it. And then we can allow our breeding stock to breed on that easier hill country that feeds the flat country as well.
While we've got you here, how's the region recovering after, you're near top of the south, how's the region recovering after the flooding?
Yeah, no, we are... which means sunny days, which is fantastic. Yes, still a bit of work to do. We've been heavily involved with diggers and bulldozers and getting people out there, getting them going ready again before calving and lambing happens. So we are recovering, we are bouncing back, and thankfully the weather's playing ball now to help farmers achieve that.
Which is good, because you've got lambing and calving soon, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. I'm just trying to give you a bit of a scan around. We've got some cows coming in the background there, I think. So it's all go at the moment. Yeah.
All right, we'll leave you there, Wayne. Thank you. That's Wayne Langford, Fed Farmers President, with us from his farm in Golden Bay. It was pretty good reception for out the back of the farm, you'd have to say. Right, it is time to talk business now with our partners 2 Degrees. Sheep and beef farmers are mulling a big offer, staying with them for a second. This is from a foreign investor. We'll get to that in a second. But also we've got news on Producer Price Index out of the United States this morning. Garth Bray, Business Desk. Garth, good morning. Good morning. What's our update from the US?
Yeah, not great news. I mean, the market was expecting, I think, a small rise in the wholesale prices, or the prices that wholesalers face. And instead, what they got was quite a big jump, up 0.9% year on year, 3.3%. And that's we haven't seen that for about 3 years. So, and at the core inflation level, they're saying that was equivalent to about 2.6 to about 3.7 year on year. So quite a big nudge there, and quite a big indicator that for things like the rate setting and so on that the Federal Reserve are looking at, say next month, maybe that door on a big 50 basis point cut is closing. It's possibly more like a 25, even smaller. Just the start of the inflation story starting to show up.
Yeah.
Not hitting the consumers yet.
No, but this is your factory gate inflation rate, essentially, isn't it? What we're talking about. It's a bit of a roller coaster, because we had CPI sort of better than expected. Now we got this. So
this is at the start of the train. It's a leading indicator, whereas your employment numbers lagging. So they're expecting to still see quite strong employment data, I think, over the next period there. But this is kind of like the cold front rolling a little bit further off.
Potential alarm bell ringing early on.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about this. The alliance. Alliance, I should say.
Alliance is fine.
$250 million offer for 65% of the co-op. You've got an update for us.
Yeah. So this is the Irish company Dawn Meats that have put this offer on the table. Bit of pressure on the farmer shareholders here to sell this co-op if that's the decision they want to make. They're being offered basically a deal that will give $22 million worth of capital expenditure, $40 million, thank you very much for taking the deal. Do the numbers. The other $188 million is to pay back the bank. And the bank wants paying originally by the end of next month, by September. That's the pressure on this deal. They've given them some leeway through to October when the deal will be voted. But we've got shareholders like former Beef and Lamb chair Andrew Morrison coming out saying, hey, actually, we need to think about this. If these guys are prepared to stump up all this money, $250 million for 65% of the co-op, hey, maybe we should be looking at whether we should reach into our pockets, recapitalise and get this thing going. But there's precious little time for that conversation to happen. Looks like, there's pressure on to make a deal.
Meanwhile, I love this story out of the Kapiti Coast District Council. How much have they spent sending their CEO to Harvard?
Well, this is all about leadership, isn't it? So this is here, Kapiti Coast District Council jacked up a trip for Darren Edwards, the Chief Executive, to a leadership course at Harvard Business School, 6 days at the start of June. $42,979, including business class airfares. It was more than a 5-hour flight, so that's policy. So we've got the Mayor, I'll just check the name there, Janet Holborough, saying, hey, look, we're a big organisation. We've got, $2.4 billion worth of assets. We've got over 400 full-time equivalent employees. We need to invest in leadership. Mind you, at the same time, you've got the Minister for Local Government, Simon Watt, saying,
rein it in.
Capping your rates unless you rein it in, matey. So this is, and bear in mind, we've got council elections next month, right? We're getting the ads now. So this is maybe a timing issue. I don't know. You a bit like the chat about paying boards more, public sector boards more. You do want to make sure that the people running these organisations are set up, got the PD, all that kind of
Does it need to be Harvard and business, though? That's my question.
Could he have zoomed in?
Well, no, exactly. Should the Kapiti Coast District Council even have a policy on staff flying business class? You know what I mean?
Well, they do have an airline that flies out of there to get you to Auckland anyway, but I think that's...
But they shouldn't be going much further than that. I mean, you're a local council.
Well,
calm the farm. It just annoys me no end. Anyway, what have we got coming up next?
Oh, look, there's a bit of a data rush today. We're going to get some numbers on manufacturing on the PMI today, locally, and also monthly CPI this morning, so that'll give us a bit of a taste of how our economy is doing. Some more sort of indicators out of Japan and China later today, and then some big US retail sales number overnight. So, plenty to look at, as well as that big summit on the geopolitics in Alaska.
Big day tomorrow. Garth, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Good to see you as always. Garth Bray from Business Desk, and we talk business every day thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. 11 to 8. Next, Heather Keats from Met Service has your weekend weather, and then after 8, the scathing report into Radio New Zealand. What does it mean for the media insider Shane Curry has the scoop.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
If we switch to 2 Degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
do try it.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz.
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
Welcome back. You're watching Herald Now. It's a Friday morning and it's 9 to 8. After what's been a cold and quiet weather week, Met Services Heather Keats is here to tell us if we have more of the same for the weekend ahead and why has it been so cold? Presumably the answer to that's quite easy. Heather, good morning.
It's winter.
It's winter.
It's winter.
It gets colder.
It does. It has been cold though.
It has.
Yeah, it's been because it's consecutive days of cold weather, and this winter we haven't had that, so we're not really used to it. But it's a little bit more than that. We've had so much high pressure, or decent kind of high pressure sitting over the country, and not a lot of clouds. And when you don't have clouds, you don't have that thermal blanket. So any heat in the ground radiates away and into space, and with still a lot of dark hours over the night, it is cold, and that's why it's colder when it's clear skies, which is really cruel because when the sun's out and it's blue sky, you want it to be warm, but we're not quite there yet. Still got a couple of weeks left of winter.
Is this the coldest part of the year?
Typically, yeah, you get that lag, right? So with seasons, especially with ocean heating, and that kind of that feeds into sort of the air temperature. But August is typically quite cold, but it will start to warm up as we get more sunlight, which is, it's daylight outside now, and we're definitely seeing more daylight throughout the day. You get the warmer days, but the nights are typically very cold. So we will still see a lot of frosts and still see a lot of single-digit nighttime lows. But things do return to more average this weekend with a bit of a change in the weather systems on the way.
Right, tell us about that. What's changing?
So today's all good. High pressure again, lovely day. Bit of fog around in places like Auckland, but that's isolated and kind of clearing and shifting as the sun comes up. But we've got kind of a sandwiched weather system for the weekend. So we've got some activity at the top of the country, up and north with a trough, and we've got a front down in the deep south, and that's starting to kind of edge onto the country from tomorrow. So we're going to see some very strong winds, some northwest gales down in the south. We're going to see a lot of heavy rain for the upper north. Sunday's typically the worst day. Tomorrow's okay, but we are going to see a shift in weather, a shift in temperatures, a shift in wind, and gone are these really crystal clear, calm days.
What about the Warriors tonight? They'll get a clear night tonight?
Where are they playing, Ryan?
In Auckland.
Okay, yes. Tonight's good. Tonight's good.
Great.
Cold, but good. The only thing to watch out for Sunday and Monday is snow. So we could see some snow down to some quite low levels, and that's not great because lambing season's kind of kicked off, and we've got some little lammies in the paddock. So one to watch out for those higher passes in the South Island and the higher farms, I guess.
So that's Sunday, Monday morning.
Monday, yeah.
Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. My big question is, I'm going away to Queensland in 2 weeks, so I just need to put it in the diary to get a weather update from you on the Friday before I go. I'm just hanging out basically for some sunshine. Desperate. Oh, what?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Don't do that.
I will look for you though.
God. Paul, who's our executive producer here, he's just come back. Said it was cold. Went to a wedding there. It was cold. There was wind. It was not horrible, but not nice.
No, it hasn't been a great winter for Australia either, to be honest. But it will be warmer than us for sure, especially in a couple of weeks. Whether it's dry, I'll let you know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Heather. Good to see you as always. That's Heather Keats from Met Service with your weekend forecast this morning. Coming up next, the teacher shortage in Northland. We know it's bad all over the country, but up north there's a crisis with students being sent home from school. Then after 8 o'clock, finding a friend for your canine companion, the new app that's kind of like Tinder for dogs, but just for walkies, no dodgy business.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We can also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
After 20 seasons on the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience, just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
We've done few subdivisions with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
Welcome back. It is 3 away from 8 now. Let's go to Northland. More schools there are having to roster students home as they face sickness and staffing shortages. So what is this sickness and how much crucial class time are these kids actually missing out on? Let's go to Brodie Stone, Northern Advocate reporter with us this morning. Brodie, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
You're very well. Good to see you. I'm not sick, but apparently we've got lots of sickness in Northland. What's going on here?
Yeah, so last Thursday, Whangarei Boys High School had to roster the Year 12s home because 20 of the school's staff were unwell, which is about a quarter of the school's teaching staff. And then on Tuesday, they had to roster the Year 11s home as well. So they are still learning, but they're learning at home. Luckily, you know, they're doing NCEA assessments and stuff like that, or preparing for NCEA, but it is still obviously quite disruptive.
Yeah, is there a plan to, you know, make up the classes that they're missing out on, or are they presumably doing work from home?
Yes, yeah, they're doing lots of work from home, and I guess that's why they've chosen the senior students as well, you know, because they can do a lot of that study, NCEA study at home. But, you know, this has been an issue that's been ongoing for quite a period of time over the last month. I spoke with a doctor who said he's really noticed quite an increase in, you know, those lung infections, pneumonia, stuff like that. And it's really, really impacting our schools. And it's not just Whangarei Boys High School either. It's, you know, Northland College, Kerikeri High School. There's a lot of sickness around. And when you've got, you know, staff unwell, there's only so much that schools can do to keep students in class. But other schools are having to split classes and things like that. So, yeah.
What about relief teachers? Are lots of those floating around?
No, there's not at all. So, I mean, I spoke with Whangarei Boys High School principal Alex Solomon, and he said, you know, basically there's not necessarily a large pool of relievers to call upon now. You know, a lot of them are moving into permanent roles. And so, you know, that's why they've had to roster quite a few students home. So, yes, it's quite a tricky situation.
What do you do long term? Because you can't keep the, you know, every time we get, you know, winter chill, we can't keep sending kids home, right?
Yeah, well, presumably, I mean, Alex sort of said that this is a worst case scenario situation. You know, this isn't something they do because they want to. It's not ideal at all. But, you know, we know that there's been a teacher shortage for quite a long period of time. The ministry earlier this year said that, you know, we're going to be short of about 1,000 teachers. And so, you know, they were looking at bringing in fast tracking residency for teachers overseas and stuff like that. So it's looking at things like that. But, you know, when you've got role growth, when you've got an aging profession, it's you know, it can be quite difficult to get enough teachers on the ground in those schools.
Am I right?
And relievers as well.
Yeah, and in particular regions. Am I right in saying that the Northland teachers in certain regions, including Northland, get a bit of a top up because they want to attract them there?
I'm not too sure on that, but I do know that, you know, Northland is quite a tricky area to bring teachers to. It's, you know, there's a lot of isolated, there's a lot of rural areas. So, you know, those schools, the ministry as well, do obviously want to try and attract as many teachers as they can to the region.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely talking to you, Brodie. The only thing that you have done in talking to me and telling us this is reveal that actually it's not the winterless north because people get sick there.
Yeah, no, the name is not true to what's actually going on up here, for sure.
Brodie, thanks for being with me this morning. Brodie Stone, Northern Advocate reporter. It's 8 o'clock. Good morning, welcome to your Friday on Herald Now. I'm Ryan Bridge. It is the 15th of August. On the show this hour, where to now for Radio New Zealand after a damning report into its content and its ratings? Media insider Shane Curry has the scoop in 20 minutes. The community is still in shock after a woman died and a man was critically injured after being shot by police, this in Christchurch. 24 hours on, what we now know about the tragic Christchurch shooting. We're there live. And we love our dogs, don't we? I do, but sometimes our four-legged friends need friends of their own. We meet the Kiwi woman behind the new app that's all about dating for dogs. Plus, your chance to win a 2-week holiday in Japan. First, Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
A consensus the upcoming talks between US and Russian leaders is potentially a win for Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's meeting with US President Donald Trump in Alaska tomorrow, and there are fears it could lead to a deal forcing painful compromises for Ukraine. Kiwi photojournalist Tom Much told the Herald's front page podcast, Ukraine is correct to call this a victory for Putin.
It also looks bad because Donald Trump and his advisors don't seem to have a particularly good grasp of the battlefield dynamics or the geography or the culture of the various regions they're talking about.
Israel's deputy foreign minister's denying her government's responsible for Gaza's humanitarian crisis in defending her prime minister. Shireen Haskell's criticised our prime minister Christopher Luxon for saying Benjamin Netanyahu's lost the plot. Hundreds of people are dying from starvation and malnutrition. Haskell's accused the UN of handing out aid to Hamas and says it hasn't sent the proper agencies to the Strip.
That are capable, that have the logistics, the expertise to deal in crisis, in humanitarian crisis, like the World Food Organization, UNICEF and World Health Organization.
A scene examination will be carried out over the next few days after yesterday's police shooting in Christchurch. Armed police flocked to the suburb of Brindwa on Wednesday night, one of whom shot a man carrying a hunting knife, fearing he'd injure a woman. The officer then shot the woman, killing her, when she grabbed the knife and threatened officers. Pendleton Community Board member David Cartwright says he feels for the officer involved. The government's being advised to mobilise the private sector in the fight against organised crime. It's put together an advisory group on transnational, serious and organised crime. Its latest report states the threat is rapidly evolving and calls for a mature conversation about privacy settings. The group highlights fragmented cross-agency coordination and insufficient engagement with the private sector, despite its potential as a partner. And it's also recommending developing a national information sharing framework and improving sharing with Pacific neighbours. The report says this can be done without compromising privacy safeguards. Some big questions ahead for Wellington City councillors on how to cover a major budget blowout for its new sludge minimisation facility. It was originally expected to cost about $200 million. It will now cost more than $500 million. Chief Infrastructure Officer Jenny Chetwynd has told councillors officials are flagging the issue as early as they can.
This is fulfilling our commitment to you as learnt from the town hall experience, I think. I've learnt a lot about what happened there. To bring things to you as quickly as possible so you can fulfil your role as city leaders and make these decisions.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Melbourne and Penrith have staged a Golden Point thriller to open round 24 of the NRL League season. Storm hooker Harry Grants turned into Harry Houdini with a dummy in front of the post to score the try, which won the match 22-18. Netball New Zealand is combating the loss of Silver Ferns to Australia's super competition by allowing each ANZ Premiership franchise to sign 2 imports instead of 1. The first round draw for tonight's New Zealand Darts Masters has been revealed, with the top 4 seeds pitted against local Aerosmiths.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning, finally Friday, and we're heading into an okay weekend, at least the first half of it, but today is dominated by a ridge of high pressure, just a weak front moving east across the lower south, and that will dish up a few showers for the deep south and over Milford Sound. Should clear by tonight, with westerlies turning northerly for Southland. Now, the developing nor'easterly will help lift temperatures today for the northern half of the island. The day itself is fine, just a few clouds around out west. Apart from the odd morning shower, today is mainly fine here. Westerlies for most, easing by the afternoon with a northerly for Wellington. It's a lovely day here. Once any frost or fog clears, winds are mostly light with a westerly for Hawke's Bay, easing this afternoon. And more fine skies for the upper north. A very cold start, but it is fine with light winds and warming to 15 or 16 degrees.
Thanks, Heather. It is 7 minutes after 8 now, and you're watching Herald Now. Let's go to Christchurch. Police remain on the scene of this fatal shooting where a woman was killed and a man critically injured by police on Wednesday night. Anna Lesk is our reporter. She's been covering the story since Wednesday and joins us now. Anna, good morning. What do we know? It's heartbreaking to see, you know, the friend of this couple talking in the media yesterday. Absolutely heartbreaking. What more do we know about what went on here?
Look, police are being really tight-lipped about what actually happened at that house. We have the basic details, obviously, that they attended. A man was chasing a woman out of the house with a hunting knife. They believed that she was in imminent danger and shot him once. As they were rendering first aid, she has picked up the knife and sort of advanced on the officer, and she's also been shot. We know that the police aren't saying much. There's multiple investigations underway, a scene examination still underway this morning, Ryan, and they have updated us saying that the man is in a critical but stable condition after undergoing surgery yesterday. So there's no further information being given on him. We don't know if he'll face charges. It's too early for them to say anything like that. And we don't know much more about the woman at this stage. We know that there were a couple who were known to police and domestic violence services in Christchurch here. She was considered a high-risk client. So there's something really sad has obviously been going on with this couple, and it's just ended really tragically.
Yeah, absolutely. When might we find out some answers? There are obviously multiple investigations underway now.
Yeah, it always takes a while with things like this because it is complex. The police are looking into the critical incident. They'll be looking into, the IPCA will be looking into, matters. The coroner will have an interest in it. And as far as we know this morning, the post-mortem is yet to be carried out on the woman. So her formal identification isn't even done at this point, though police are speaking to her next of kin. So that's one of the very early processes that needs to be done before police can sort of move forward. So there's a lot of work being done, still to be done. And I think over the next few days, I think we might just get drip-fed bits of information, but it'll be a long time till we have that full picture, which is really frustrating for the public. But, they have to be really robust, full investigations for the different agencies.
Yeah, and obviously they have to be really thorough with it, right? What about the community, people in the local area? How are they feeling?
Look, they were shocked. A lot of them heard the gunshots. A lot of them were aware of sort of the fractious relationship of this couple and the police visiting the house in the past. It's really shaken the community, particularly the friends of this couple. We were told yesterday they joined a church and they were trying to get their lives turned around. So the people that know them are, I imagine, taking this really, really hard. As I said, the woman in particular was known to domestic violence support services. So I know that those staff are really, really hurting anyone that would have been working with her. And it just has such a big ripple effect when something like this happens. But, my thoughts are just always with that poor woman's family and what they're going through at the moment, and her closest friends and loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put, Anna. I appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being with me. Anna Lesk, the New Zealand Herald senior crime and justice reporter who's been following this story since Wednesday. Just gone 10 minutes after 8 now, and you're watching Herald Now. Right, we're going to give you a chance to win a trip to Japan now, thanks to the New Zealand Herald and Inspiring Vacations. This once-in-a-lifetime prize includes return flights, accommodation, guided tours. It's for 2 people, valued at $14,000. All you have to do is register on the New Zealand Herald Win page by 5 p.m. on September 3rd. You don't want to miss this. This is the chance for the trip of a lifetime to beautiful Japan with the New Zealand Herald and Inspiring Vacations. T's and C's apply. Right, dogs are social animals just like us, so when they don't spend time with their mates, with their friends, they can get a little depressed and anxious. But sometimes it can be quite hard to find the right buddy for them. Enter Social Dog, a new app that lets you pair up your puppies with others and find the perfect playmate. Misha Gildenberger is the co-founder of Social Dog and is with me at the desk this morning. Misha, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Where did you get this idea from? Presumably you've got your own dogs?
Yeah, I'm a dog trainer. So we team up with a veterinarian and we came up with this idea after noticing that dogs are in need to have proper play dates. And there's a lot of lack of socialization and lack of information in the community. So yeah, we created this app that provides education and connection in the community.
So what do I do if I've got a wee beagle? She does get lonely from time to time. She's got us to play with at home. But what do I do? Upload a photo or a details?
Yeah, so you sign up for free and you create a profile of your doggy, similar to Tinder. And you describe what you're looking for and you answer a lot of behavioral questions and socializing questions like, does your dog like to play a lot or prefers calm walks or enjoys the company of calm dogs or crazy dogs? And then once you have your profile ready, you can browse for other dogs in the area and yeah, just match and meet up.
Great idea.
Have
you had people sign up yet?
Yeah, a lot. And they are sending us pictures and videos. It's so comforting to see how the connection is happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got dogs yourself?
Yes, I have a dog.
And do they have like regular friends that they see and play with all the time?
Yes. It's very important that your dog has the perfect match and regular friends that they can play with or simply not play but just hang out. So my dog is 11 and she doesn't like puppies much, but she enjoys the company of very, very, very calm, well-behaved dogs around her. It's very, very nice to see her making new friends.
What sort of dog have you got?
She's a rescue, so she's kind of look like a Kelpie, I would say.
Okay, yeah. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And what is... You know, you say that they have different preferences. What's with that? Why do some dogs like playing with, I've got friends that my dog won't play with. Their dogs, won't play with their dogs. Why is that?
Well, just like humans, we have certain preferences. Like some people like classic music, some people like electronic music, and same with dogs. Dogs, depending on the age, depending on the type of personality, they might enjoy the company of calm dogs, of crazy dogs, play like crazy or just walk together. Depending on the age, my dog is an elderly dog, so she doesn't play anymore. So she needs the company of very calm dogs. And it happens that when you mismatch them, sometimes they don't get along very well.
Yeah.
So it's important that when you go into the platform, you look for the perfect match for your dog, and that's exactly what we want to provide. Proper matches.
Are some breeds snobbier than others? They're more fussy than others when it comes to friends?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are. I can't say yet, but sometimes it's not the tendency. But yes, there are some certain dogs that prefer. Well, small dogs enjoy the company of small dogs, and large dogs enjoy the company of large dogs. So.
If you're going to wrestle, you need to be doing it with someone your size. So, when they sniff each other's butts?
Yeah.
They're, I was told, sort of smelling each other's DNA.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And like, where are you from, and how a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes, it's the way they say hi. Like we say hi like this, and they say hi like that. So.
And they're sharing information about each other when they're doing that.
Yeah, exactly that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, a conversation obviously is our preference.
Yeah. Sometimes people go, "Oh, this is super weird. They are doing that for a long time," and I'm no, that's okay. That's the type. That's the way they do it.
They're just really getting to know each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're liking each other, probably.
So where do people go if they got a dog and they think this sounds like a good idea?
Yeah, socialdog.co.nz. Sign up for free. You can create your profile and match and get a lot of information about how to socialize your dog correctly. There are videos. There is a lot of educational.
Is this a business for you? How do you make money if people are signing up for free?
Well, we actually created as a mission with my co-founder, the veterinarian. We felt that there's a need for this, and especially the lack of education or misinformation that there is in the community when it comes to socializing your dog. Because people are doing simple mistakes that are huge and can create aggression and reactivity in the community. So we just created it because, we wanted to help dog owners raise socially healthy dogs So yeah.
Great idea, Misha.
Thank you.
Lovely to speak to you, and best of luck with the app.
Thank you.
That is co-founder of Social Dog, Misha Gildenberger. It is 16 minutes after 8 o'clock. Next, our panel is in to talk through the big stories of the day, and then before 8:30, media insider Shane Curry has the scoop on this damning Radio New Zealand report. It's into its radio arm of the business rather than its online. He's got details for us before news at 8:30.
A DIY kitchen, but just not sure if you can do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. With You Do It DIY Kitchens, you're in safe hands. And the customer support team really know their stuff. After all, they design and manufacture everything here in New Zealand. You do it, and you save money. So choose You Do It, the affordable DIY Kiwi kitchen with a great reputation. Visit newsroom.co.nz.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, who's got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
I'm Hayden Scott, and I'm a knife maker. I make knives from my workshop at home in West Auckland. Yeah, my previous life, I was a chef. Did that for 25 years. But I had this knife making thing that I was doing and had been doing for some time. And so that transition from finishing that 25-year career and taking the plunge into full-time knife maker, I had been building up to that, but I still had to take a leap.
Ah, here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference, but 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost center reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Welcome back. Let's get to our panel this morning. Anne Gibson, the New Zealand Herald property editor, and Rahul Chopra, the Radio Tirana host, is in the studio. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to have you both here. Let's start with this obviously big meeting tomorrow in Alaska. This is Trump and Putin. And you know, it's a little odd because you've got a guy who the International Criminal Court says is likely responsible for war crimes. There's an arrest warrant for him, meeting with the leader of the free world, you know, to try and sort out a crisis that's on the other side of the ocean.
I was talking to Garth Bray about this just before I came on, and he had that lovely phrase, kanohi ki te kanohi, the beautiful Te Ao Māori kupu that means basically face to face. So the idea here is, you know, Putin and Trump coming face to face to talk about this. And when I looked at publicity before the show, what it was about really was the idea of potentially a ceasefire, a 30-day ceasefire, and also the idea that, you know, there could be some progress made and that there is some hope from that meeting, from I guess the most powerful people in the world coming together to talk about some hope of resolving just a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is Trump we're talking about, who was going to end this in 24 hours. You know, so I am a little bit skeptical because I think sometimes it's more optics, not outcomes. And with Zelensky actually not being there in the first meeting, there is some worries, I would say, about which way is this going to go, and are they going to miss out? So, yeah, I'm skeptical, but something is better than nothing because we do need to end this soon.
Yeah, some talking better than no talking. School uniforms. There's a story out of Papanui High School in Christchurch where the year 13, so that's your oldest kids in school, the oldest year level, they get to wear mufti, as I did. Did you wear mufti?
No, I had uniform.
See, we got to wear mufti, which we all thought was great. Probably kept some of us in school. But in Papanui High School, they want to get rid of it, not for the reasons you might think, because there's, you know, parents cracking down, but they're worried about safety in the school. What do you make of that?
I did hear about the story. I think safety is one of the things the principal's talking about, but I'm a supporter of uniform in the sense of pride and you know, the discipline it brings around it. I think Year 13s can get some sort of reward. Maybe they wear Leavers hoodies, they wear a different colour jumper, which people have done before. But safety, I would say, I mean, we're talking about, yeah, you go to a mall, you can't tell in break time who's who. I don't know, I'm not really buying into just that aspect of it. I think there's more to it than that. But if you say, yeah, well, it is difficult for a lot of parents to get fancy clothes and then it becomes about fashion and not uniform. But is it going to change student outcomes? I don't think so.
No, and probably not, is it?
Well, I went to Mercy College in Timaru, which is now called Roncalli College, and we had uniforms. But I was talking to a colleague this morning who was reminding me about treks and all these different types of shoes, and you were somewhat denoted by, you know, the socio-economic aspect of the household was shown somewhat in the footwear. But yeah, I found the story a little bit funny, because the story was about the fact that it was very hard for the teaching staff to work out who were the pupils and who were the trainee teachers, because you were pointing out before, Raoul, they could be not far away from each other in terms of age.
No, some of them just kind of leave high school, they do a bachelor's degree, so and then they go to teachers college. So maybe 21, 22 versus an 18-year-old, and kids are quite big these days, some of them, and they look older, so older kids. So easily a young female teacher would look younger than a Year 13 male rugby boy, like, definitely.
And if you've got, because the other point they made is about this, just the security, like safety around the school gate. If you've got people coming in from outside and you can't differentiate between your students and the outsiders, that is potentially quite an important issue as well. Hey, let's go to Queenstown. Possible solution to the housing crisis there, Anne, what's going on?
This is Simplicity Living, which is part of the big KiwiSaver scheme. What they're doing is building 600 apartments. They're build to rent, so we know big housing crisis in Queenstown now. They're building them at Ladies Mile. I have readers coming back to me now saying the difference between Ladies Mile, Frankton, Remarkables and Queenstown, so it's like differentiating, and certainly differentiating in terms of traffic and congestion. So a lot of concerns about what this massive development, I don't know, $500 million development will do in terms of making those roads busier, but a really interesting build-to-rent scheme, the biggest build-to-rent scheme in New Zealand. There's nothing of that scale. I think Te Reputa by Simplicity is about 297 units, and it's nearly finished on the Mount Wellington Highway. So Sam Stubbs and Shane Brearley, pretty much the best that you can get in the, you know, in that sort of investment and property collab field, coming together, very powerful combination to build this massive amount of apartments, housing, that is purposefully tailored towards tenants. So something we haven't seen in New Zealand really, the build to rent scene, where you get communal spaces and workspaces and good landscaping, hopefully, to really give something that is fit for purpose to be rented.
Well, Queenstown is the right place to be doing it, of course, but it requires a mindset shift, doesn't it? When, you know, you talk about, first of all, the fact that they're not houses, they're apartments, and then it's the communal living spaces. For Kiwis, it is a bit of a mind shift that you need to get your head over, get your head through.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I was also thinking about built to rent, but doesn't mean it's cheaper, you know, because there's always the cost comes in, you know, like, is it cheaper to rent? And also my other thing was, when I read the story, was it doesn't solve the home ownership issue of the locals, which they're talking about, where they can't afford, you know, and we're talking about one of the biggest housing crises in terms of Queenstown. And so, but some action is better than no action. I think it will be welcomed, and I think it will have some solutions. I mean, nobody else is doing much.
The mayor in Queenstown talked about it as a game changer, and we know we need the worker accommodation. These workers are not able to buy homes in such an expensive area. So a fit-for-purpose rental stock, you know, that is maybe, I don't know, at least double glazed, maybe more, with solar panels, you know, lots of good things going for it.
Lots of insulation. Hey guys, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Great to have you both here.
Thanks, Ryan.
That is Anne Gibson, the New Zealand Herald property editor, and Rahul Chopra, who's Radio Tirana host. Time now is 26 minutes after 8 o'clock. Next, it is time for Media Insider on your Friday morning. Shane Curry is here with the scoop on Radio New Zealand.
Vatican City Acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of
You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university.
My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build with GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
After 20 seasons on the footy field, it's fair to say I know a thing or two about resilience. Digging deep when the going gets tough. Just like Kaiwaka wet weather gear. Kaiwaka's been in the game for 200 seasons. 50 years of facing up to the elements, getting the job done and coming back for more. And that's guaranteed for a lifetime. Kaiwaka, designed to perform, made to outlast.
Of course we can set up the new smart TV for you. We could also put it on the wall for you too.
Want to keep your family safe online? We've got tips for that.
Yeah, I can show you how to use the AI on your laptop.
Teaching the kids to do laundry? These washing machines auto-dispense the perfect amount of detergent, making it super easy to learn.
Wait, what's a Ninja Creamy?
Got tech questions? We've got answers. With 66 stores nationwide, your tech experts ready to help.
Welcome back. It is 28 minutes after 8 o'clock now, and you're watching Herald Now. A scathing review into Radio New Zealand has been carried out by former news boss Richard Sutherland. In his conversations with staff, he found blame shifting, low ambition, and that some people just shouldn't be on air. So where to now for the public broadcaster? Shane Curry is the Herald's editor-at-large and media insider at the desk this morning. Shane, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Again, you got the scoop. What have you learnt from this?
Yeah, it was a scoop in the sense that I'd applied for the report under the Official Information Act, and RNZ choreographed the release of it quite carefully yesterday. They talked to staff at the same time they were releasing it to me under the Act. The report is very surprising in the language that it used. I think it's a lot more ferocious and fierce than many people were expecting. That was certainly the feedback that I got. But Richard Sutherland did not hold back in terms of the cultural issues within RNZ, specifically around the performance of radio. And if you step back and just take a look at the overall theme of the report, it's essentially that RNZ's done a great job with its digital website, but it's kind of been at the expense of its radio ratings and the performance of its radio. If you look at its performance, it's gone from first, only 5 years ago, first in the entire radio market, now 8th. And it's something like 200,000 listeners behind News Talk ZB, its commercial competitor. So there's real issues in there. You've mentioned some of the staffing issues this morning, and he has gone as far as to say they need to get a marquee hire, new talent, basically, for some of their shows. To try and rebuild that audience. Otherwise, it will wither away.
And the other thing that's come out of this is which I'm always fascinated by, is the Auckland-Wellington situation. Because I used to work there in Wellington years and years ago, and that's where the majority of their staff are.
Yes.
They need to move it to Auckland, but there's still resistance to that, and the reason's interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's historically, of course, through the New Zealand Broadcasting Corporation, all those many years ago, you've got head office of RNZ in Wellington, as you quite rightly say, and most of its exec are down there. Now, they're about to move in with TVNZ in Victoria Street here in central Auckland later this year. That gives them a real opportunity to build their Auckland staffing numbers. They've been restricted in the office that they're currently in. It's a bit of a rabbit warren.
Yeah.
Richard Sutherland in his report recommends that the entire Morning Report team and show moves to Auckland. RNZ's kind of batted that away a little bit. They're saying for various reasons they still want people in both centres. It's important, I guess, if there's a major emergency in Auckland, that they do have people elsewhere in the country. But to me, it makes sense that your flagship show would be in the biggest city.
It's always sounded like a bit of a yarn to me that what if there's an earthquake? I mean, the only place there's probably likely to be an earthquake is Wellington.
True.
You know? True. So what is, apart from the response to the Auckland situation, what has RNZ's response been to the report?
Well, I've done a follow-up column in the Herald this morning, and I think Paul Thompson, the CEO, basically has 6 to 12 months to sort this out, to get the, and you know, I think there are jobs on the line here, both at board and executive level. One of the biggest recommendations that RNZ has picked up is that they will hire a chief audio officer. They haven't had that in the past, and that they've seemed to have battered away a lot of the recommendations to this new role, this person who is yet to be appointed. They're going to have a hell of a job. That will be reviewing the talent, winning the staff, because at the moment, if you look at the report, they're basically saying staff from junior producers through to the exec have basically ignored radio. And so there's a massive cultural shift here, and Radio New Zealand seems to be pushing a lot of these recommendations to this new person.
Yeah. You can't ignore radio. I mean, it's in the name, literally. You know.
Well, precisely. And I think, you know, yes, traditional business models in journalism and media have fallen away. Particularly, we've seen that here at NZME with, yep, absolutely. We know we have to move, and we have moved into the digital age. Look at this show. But at the same time, you've got to raise all boats as much as possible. You don't neglect important revenue generating, in the case of commercial media, places like newspapers, television. TVNZ still earns a hell of a lot of revenue through its network. Radio New Zealand, of course, is a public broadcaster, so it doesn't get advertising revenue, but we fund it as the taxpayers, and the public demands that the radio station is as good as it can be.
Absolutely, as they should. So let's move to Air New Zealand now. Uncertainty over their flight, the famous flight safety video, which is always, I'm always just...
Do you like them?
I'm always a bit gobsmacked at how much time and money they spend on them.
I was thinking about it this morning. This is going to be the 24th flight safety video, and you just wonder, have we come to the point now, and I know Emirates and Qatar, I think, they kind of make a point now saying, we don't have a fancy video, we just want to give you the safety information.
I've seen those.
Yeah, and I just wonder, in this day and age with the pressures that are on Air New Zealand, just what the benefits are. I mean, we just want the basic information, right? Sometimes that gets lost in the mix. But anyway, the story today is that they, like many others, are looking at AI. Of course, it's here. It's impacting on all businesses in one form or another. And potentially a lot of, some savings anyway at the post-production end of the video, looking at working with OpenAI to perhaps not necessarily getting rid of the humans or out of the equation, but certainly AI helping them produce this latest flight safety video, which should be in market by the end of the year.
When they get AI to fly the planes, then they'll really save some money. Now, over at the opposition, journalists at Stuff are going to vote to strike. What's going on here?
Yeah, the last 3 or 4 days, Stuff journalists, there is a ballot. Those who are unionised with the E2 union, there's a ballot out at the moment. The results are due in later today. I'm told that at the moment the results show they are voting overwhelmingly in favour of industrial action. Talks are basically not quite stalled, but certainly they're at an impasse with their collective contract negotiations. Mainly around, Stuff has said that they're separating the collective contract into two now divisions within the company. The union doesn't like that. And of course, at the background of it all is pay. The union's gone in with an initial request of 6.5%. And
per year?
Yes, and Stuff, as I understand it, has rejected that initial request.
Right, okay. Yeah. Now, this is the story of the morning. Hugh Grant has high praise for the work of one New Zealand journalist.
That's right. Hugh Grant is, we all know and love from, I'm sure, Notting Hill and Love Actually and many other great UK movies. But he was at the premiere of Olivia Carville's recent documentary in London. Olivia is a well-known New Zealand journalist who's worked for the Herald, worked for Stuff. She's now at Bloomberg in the US, and has a new documentary called Can't Look Away. And that documentary has now been released in the UK. It's around social media and the dangers and the perils of social media, particularly for young people, and how the algorithms, whether it's from sextortion through to any other means, are causing real issues. And it's a devastating documentary in many respects in that it interviews parents of kids who have taken their own lives. But Hugh Grant was at the UK premiere, pictured alongside Olivia, and on social media singing her praises and the work of the documentary.
Wow, interesting. Where can we watch it, do you know? Or?
Yeah, it's available. It is available online for a price. It's not been officially released in New Zealand, but you can get it legally, for I think it's around $8 or $9.
Okay, all right, nice one. Shane, good to see you. Thank you very much for coming in as always. Shane Curry, our media insider and editor-at-large at the New Zealand Herald. Time is 24 to 9. Here's Neva with headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
A consensus the upcoming talks between US and Russian leaders is potentially a win for Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's meeting with US President Donald Trump in Alaska tomorrow, and there are fears it could lead to a deal forcing painful compromises for Ukraine. Kiwi photojournalist Tom Much told the Herald's Front Page podcast, Ukraine is correct to call this a victory for Putin.
It also looks bad because Donald Trump and his advisors don't seem to have a particularly good grasp of the battlefield dynamics or the geography or the culture of the various regions they're talking about.
Israel's deputy foreign minister's denying her government's responsible for Gaza's humanitarian crisis in defending her prime minister. Shireen Haskel's criticised our prime minister Christopher Luxon for saying Benjamin Netanyahu's lost the plot. Hundreds of people are dying from starvation and malnutrition. Haskell's accused the UN of handing out aid to Hamas and says it hasn't sent the proper agencies to the Strip.
That are capable, that have the logistics, the expertise to deal in crisis, in humanitarian crisis, like the World Food Organization, UNICEF and World Health Organization.
A scene examination will be carried out over the next few days after yesterday's police shooting in Christchurch. Armed police flocked to the suburb of Brindwa on Wednesday night, one of whom shot a man carrying a hunting knife, fearing he'd injure a woman. The officer then shot the woman, killing her, when she grabbed the knife and threatened officers. Pendleton Community Board member David Cartwright says he feels for the officer involved. The government's being advised to mobilise the private sector in the fight against organised crime. It's put together an advisory group on transnational, serious and organised crime. Its latest report states the threat is rapidly evolving and calls for a mature conversation about privacy settings. The group highlights fragmented cross-agency coordination and insufficient engagement with the private sector, despite its potential as a partner. And it's also recommending developing a national information sharing framework and improving sharing with Pacific neighbours. The report says this can be done without compromising privacy safeguards. Some big questions ahead for Wellington City councillors on how to cover a major budget blowout for its new sludge minimisation facility. It was originally expected to cost about $200 million. It will now cost more than $500 million. Chief Infrastructure Officer Jenny Chetwynd has told councillors officials are flagging the issue as early as they can.
This is fulfilling our commitment to you as learnt from the town hall experience, I think. I've learnt a lot about what happened there. To bring things to you as quickly as possible so you can fulfil your role as city leaders and make these decisions.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Melbourne and Penrith have staged a Golden Point thriller to open round 24 of the NRL League season. Storm hooker Harry Grants turned into Harry Houdini with a dummy in front of the post to score the try, which won the match 22-18. Netball New Zealand is combating the loss of Silver Ferns to Australia's super competition by allowing each ANZ Premiership franchise to sign 2 imports instead of 1. The first round draw for tonight's New Zealand Darts Masters has been revealed, with the top 4 seeds pitted against local Aerosmiths.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning, finally Friday, and we're heading into an okay weekend, at least the first half of it, but today is dominated by a ridge of high pressure, just a weak front moving east across the lower south, and that will dish up a few showers for the deep south and over Milford Sound. Should clear by tonight, with westerlies turning northerly for Southland. Now, the developing nor'easterly will help lift temperatures today for the northern half of the island. The day itself is fine, just a few clouds around out west. Apart from the odd morning shower, today is mainly fine here. Westerlies for most, easing by the afternoon with a northerly for Wellington. It's a lovely day here. Once any frost or fog clears, winds are mostly light with a westerly for Hawke's Bay, easing this afternoon. And more fine skies for the upper north. A very cold start, but it is fine with light winds and warming to 15 or 16 degrees.
You're watching Herald Now. It's 19 minutes away from 9 on your Friday morning. Xavier Rowan is a very determined young man, and he's determined to make every day count. After a 3-year battle with leukemia, he was selected for a scholarship trip to Cambridge University, where he worked on a revolutionary mastitis treatment for dairy cows. I'll explain why in a second. On top of all of this, he manages 50 beehives. Somehow, he still has time for school. Xavier Rowan, a very talented young man indeed, and he's with us at the desk this morning, dressed in his uniform. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to meet you. Thanks so much for being in here with us. Let's start, because there's a bit of a life story here for you, Xavier. Let's start with Cambridge. How did you get to Cambridge University?
So I heard about it through my school, Scots College, where I'm at the moment, and my father also heard about it. I received an email from the Immerse Education people, staff, whatever. I read about it, read about the program, and like the nice places where they're at. I ended up having to write an essay or a long paragraph about my idea on the medicine for mastitis, which ended up getting sent through to some people through the Immerse Education. They read about it, they took interest in it, and they rewarded me with a 25% scholarship through to Cambridge University.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people get that?
I'm not sure how many people there had scholarships. I think they're about, a bit less than half of them had scholarships.
And what was it like once you got there?
It was completely different to, well, in the UK it's completely different to what it is here. Cambridge was very nice. The overall experience was great. A bit nerve-wracking because it was all new, but it was great.
Mastitis. Xavier, I'm looking at you. You're a young man. What are you doing investigating and trying to come up with medicines for mastitis? How did it come about?
So we were a part of a family dairy farm for a while. My father, who is also a veterinarian, whenever he was working on the cows, if they had something wrong with them, I'd be with them most of the time. And I'd learn about diseases that they'd catch, bacteria or problems or whatever. Mastitis, which was very common in cows, caught my attention, and I thought that maybe I could try and create a preventive medicine that's not an antibiotic for the cows.
And have you managed to do that? Are you?
Not yet.
But you're still trying?
Yes, absolutely.
So how would it work? How would a preventative medicine work?
I don't want to go into too much detail.
Oh, okay. It's a bit of a commercial secret.
Yes. I haven't gotten too far into it. I'm still researching. I can't really say
no more.
Much.
Say no more. Say no more. Keep it a secret. File it away, and when your business is booming, then we'll all know that you did it. You did it well. Let's talk about your cancer journey, and you don't mind talking about this with me?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So you had leukemia, and you were diagnosed at what age?
12 years old.
Right. And what's that been like? And you were with cancer for 3 years, as I understand.
Yes, unfortunately. Pretty tough journey. I didn't know until a week later in hospital that I had cancer. I thought I was just really ill, had the flu or something. And then I ended up finding out after I started receiving treatment that I had leukemia from one of the nurses. It was tough, rough battle. Spent most of my time in Christchurch Hospital, and then ended up, once I got better through treatment, I ended up moving back down home and started continuing treatment down there.
Must have been hard, not just for you, but also for your family, I imagine.
Yeah, especially for my father and my brother. I'm very connected to them, very close. My brother, he skipped time off school to come spend time with me in the hospital for a couple of weeks when he could, which made it a lot easier for me to cope because he was there by my side, and so was my dad. Unfortunately, my older sister, she had to look after the other siblings while Dad was in hospital with me for a while. Which was tough on her, but she did a good job. Yeah.
Are you cancer-free now?
I am now, yeah. I still have to go for a monthly, every 3 months, checkup for a blood test, make sure I haven't relapsed.
What's this?
So this is Bubbles, my cancer mascot. He's been to every surgery. He's been in the hospital with me the whole time, through the whole journey and everything. So I take him with me pretty much everywhere. I took him to Cambridge with me. Yeah.
He's your mate?
Yeah, definitely.
For people watching this, they might think this is a pretty incredible story, Xavier, and I'm sure you've heard people say that before. What do you, how do you keep your hopes and your dreams alive, or do you think what's happened to you has maybe helped push you even further into pursuing them?
Yeah, I mean, like missing all the past few years of school has made me determined to catch up and go beyond. I want people to see that you're able to do anything, no matter what you've been through. Yeah, especially after treatment, had a massive impact on me, and I was just like, I could maybe do something that'll be extraordinary to the world. Kid who had cancer, now he's creating a medicine for dairy cows.
Not just you, Bubbles as well, right?
Yeah.
Hey, lovely to meet you, Xavier. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to us. It's a very personal thing to talk about, so thank you for being so open.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. That is Xavier Rowan, as I said, an incredible young man. And he's dressed in a school uniform this morning, he told me, because you need to look smart, and you're right, you do. It is just gone 11 minutes away from 9. It's time to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees Now. Sheep and beef farmers are here mulling a big offer from a foreign investor, and producer price index out of the United States overnight. Well, it's not great. It comes off the back of a more positive CPI number, which we had on Tuesday. Earlier, I was joined by Garth Bray from Business Desk. Started off by asking, what is the update out of the US overnight?
Not great news. I mean, the market was expecting, I think, a small rise in the wholesale prices, or the prices that wholesalers face, and instead what they got was quite a big jump, up 0.9% year on year, 3.3%, and that's sort of, we haven't seen that for about 3 years. So, and at the core inflation level, they're saying that was equivalent to about 2.6 to about 3.7 year on year. So quite a big nudge there, and quite a big indicator that for things like, the rate setting and so on that the Federal Reserve are looking at, say, next month, maybe that door on a big 50 basis point cut is closing. It's possibly more like a 25, even smaller. Just the start of the inflation story starting to show up.
Yeah.
Not hitting the consumers yet.
No, but this is your factory gate inflation rate, essentially, isn't it, what we're talking about? It's a bit of a roller coaster because we had CPI sort of better than expected. Now we got this. So
this is at the start of the train. It's a leading indicator, whereas your employment numbers lagging. So they're expecting to still see quite strong employment data, I think, over the next period there. But this is kind of like the cold front rolling a little bit further off.
Potential alarm bell ringing early on.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about this, the alliance, Alliance, I should say.
Alliance,
$250 million offer for 65% of the co-op. You've got an update for us.
Yeah, so this is the Irish company Dawn Meats that have put this offer on the table. Bit of pressure on the farmer shareholders here to sell this co-op if that's the decision they want to make. They're being offered basically a deal that will give $22 million worth of capital expenditure, $40 million, thank you very much for taking the deal. Do the numbers. The other $188 million is to pay back the bank. And the bank wants paying originally by the end of next month, by September. That's the pressure on this deal. They've given them some leeway through to October when the deal will be voted. But we've got shareholders like former beef and lamb chair Andrew Morrison coming out saying, hey, actually, we need to think about this. If these guys are prepared to stump up all this money, $250 million for 65% of the co-op, hey, maybe we should be looking at whether we should reach into our pockets, recapitalise and get this thing going. But there's precious little time for that conversation to happen. Looks like, there's pressure on to make a deal.
Meanwhile, I love this story out of the Kapiti Coast District Council. How much have they spent sending their CEO to Harvard?
Well, this is all about leadership, isn't it? So this is here, Kapiti Coast District Council jacked up a trip for Darren Edwards, the Chief Executive, to a leadership course at Harvard Business School, 6 days at the start of June, $42,979, including business class airfares. It was more than a 5-hour flight, so that's policy. So we've got the Mayor, I'll just check the name there, Janet Holborough, saying, hey, look, we're a big organisation. We've got, $2.4 billion worth of assets. We've got over 400 full-time equivalent employees. We need to invest in leadership. Mind you, at the same time, you've got the Minister for Local Government, Simon Watt, saying,
rein it in.
Capping your rates unless you rein it in, matey. So this is, and bear in mind, we've got council elections next month, right? We're getting the ads now. So this is maybe a timing issue. I don't know. You a bit like the chat about paying boards more, public sector boards more. You do want to make sure that the people running these organisations are set up, got the PD, all that.
Does it need to be Harvard and business, though? That's my question.
Could he have zoomed in?
Well, no, exactly. Should the Kapiti Coast District Council even have a policy on staff flying business class? You know what I mean?
Well, they do have an airline that flies out of there to get you to Auckland anyway, but I think
but they shouldn't be going much further than that. I mean, you're a local council.
Well,
calm the farm. It just annoys me no end. Anyway, what have we got coming up next?
Oh, look, there's a bit of a data rush today. We're going to get some numbers on manufacturing on the PMI today, locally, and also monthly CPI this morning, so that'll give us a bit of a taste of how our economy is doing. Some more sort of indicators out of Japan and China later today, and then some big US retail sales number overnight. So, plenty to look at, as well as that big summit on the geopolitics in Alaska.
That was Garth Bray from Business Desk earlier on the program, thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. Chelsea Daniels is here, Front Page Podcast. Chelsea, good morning.
Morning.
Great to see you on a Friday. Well, great to see you any day.
Only Fridays, though, particularly.
Hey, you just met Xavier Rowan, who we had on our program.
Yes, I've bought some honey.
Well, so I didn't get to this because there's so much to his life story, but this incredible young man also has 50 honey hives, beehives, and makes his own honey. This is from Invercargill. Oh, look, we've got pictures. Yeah, from Invercargill. This is Manuka honey, by the way, and he's given us, well, we're going to pay for them, but he's given us Xavier, what do you do? What do you have the money going towards? Is this towards the business idea?
Community project.
A community project for child cancer, Xavier says. What an incredible young man.
I'm tired just thinking about all of what he does.
Have you had a wee taste?
No, I haven't.
You can be the guinea pig and have a wee taste of this Manuka honey that he's made.
Oh, it looks good.
Does look good. And look, he's even got his own. He said his dad's. How's that? Good?
Good.
He said his dad, Xavier's dad, dad's friend has done the labelling on that. Isn't that cool? Very good. Yummy. Well done. What an amazing young man. Right, it is 6 minutes away from 9. We better get on to the topic du jour this morning, which is, of course, this big meeting happening in 24 hours' time. This is Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, happening in Alaska. And this is the topic of your podcast this morning, Chelsea.
Yeah, so I spoke to a Kiev-based Kiwi journalist, Thomas Much. He's over there at the moment, and we spoke about the Trump and Putin meeting, obviously, in Alaska, about 7:30ish tomorrow our time, if anybody wants to get up and have a look at it. Anyway, there's already a suggestion that Putin has won out of this meeting, even if nothing happens, basically because it's like a personal victory to him already. Tom told me that, back in 2022, the Kremlin effectively had become ostracised by the world. They were banned from sporting events, banned from cultural events. The banking systems were cut off, huge sanctions imposed. No US, European or NATO diplomats would meet with Russian officials. And now he's waltzing in and he's going to have a photo. Yeah, he's going to have a photo op with handshaking the US president. So essentially, it's a major concession in itself in the negotiations. Putin, just those photos alone, that press alone, is going to be worth its weight in gold to Putin, even if nothing happens.
It's almost like an era of legitimacy, isn't it, to it? Because as we spoke earlier to Stephen Hoadley in the program, this is a guy who's likely responsible, according to the International Criminal Court, for war crimes, arrest warrant out.
And New Zealand's strength in soft diplomacy should mean that we should show face over there. Oh, so next time Luxon's over and doing a European tour, pop over to Ukraine.
Appreciate your time this morning. Looking forward to the podcast today, Chelsea, as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chelsea Daniels, Front Page Podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. Right, let's go to Katie Oliver for a look ahead with the Herald this morning, 3 minutes away from 9. Katie, there's been a bit of Friday morning chaos on the roads this morning.
Yes. So there has been a motorcycle crash on the southern motorway. Now this is near Onehunga. Now this was between a motorcycle and it was around 8:07, just after 8, and the road is blocked. So motorists are just advised to be aware of that delay there. Now there has also been a fatal crash south of Rotorua this morning. A petrol tanker has rolled and State Highway 5 remains closed because of that incident. Now emergency services were called just after 2 a.m. this morning. So this was slightly earlier there, Ryan, but a scene examination is still underway there.
Okay, so that's the southwestern in Auckland and State Highway 5 near Rotorua.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also had a homicide investigation being launched in the Bay of Plenty.
Yes, so this occurred yesterday at 4:30. Police were advised of a bit of an altercation between two people. They arrived to the scene where a woman sustained critical injuries and unfortunately died. Now they have had a woman come into custody since then, and they're not seeking anyone else in relation to this homicide. So there'll be more on that as the day progresses, Ryan, but that's as much as we know at this stage.
All right, Katie, thank you for that. More news, nzherald.co.nz. It is 9 o'clock. Here's Neva with the rest of the morning's headlines.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
A consensus the upcoming talks between US and Russian leaders is potentially a win for Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's meeting with US President Donald Trump in Alaska tomorrow, and there are fears it could lead to a deal forcing painful compromises for Ukraine. Kiwi photojournalist Tom Much told the Herald's Front Page podcast Ukraine is correct to call this a victory for Putin.
It also looks bad because Donald Trump and his advisors don't seem to have a particularly good grasp of the battlefield dynamics or the geography or the culture of the various regions they're talking about.
Israel's deputy foreign minister's denying her government's responsible for Gaza's humanitarian crisis in defending her prime minister. Shireen Haskell's criticised our prime minister Christopher Luxon for saying Benjamin Netanyahu's lost the plot. Hundreds of people are dying from starvation and malnutrition. Haskell's accused the UN of handing out aid to Hamas and says it hasn't sent the proper agencies to the Strip.
That are capable, that have the logistics, the expertise to deal in crisis, in humanitarian crisis, like the World Food Organization, UNICEF and World Health Organization.
A scene examination will be carried out over the next few days after yesterday's police shooting in Christchurch. Armed police flocked to the suburb of Brindwa on Wednesday night, one of whom shot a man carrying a hunting knife, fearing he'd injure a woman. The officer then shot the woman, killing her, when she grabbed the knife and threatened officers. Vendleton Community Board member David Cartwright says he feels for the officer involved. The government's being advised to mobilise the private sector in the fight against organised crime. It's put together an advisory group on transnational, serious and organised crime. Its latest report states the threat is rapidly evolving and calls for a mature conversation about privacy settings. The group highlights fragmented cross-agency coordination and insufficient engagement with the private sector, despite its potential as a partner. And it's also recommending developing a national information sharing framework and improving sharing with Pacific neighbours. The report says this can be done without compromising privacy safeguards. Some big questions ahead for Wellington City councillors on how to cover a major budget blowout for its new sludge minimisation facility. It was originally expected to cost about $200 million. It will now cost more than $500 million. Chief Infrastructure Officer Jenny Chetwynd has told councillors officials are flagging the issue as early as they can.
This is fulfilling our commitment to you as learnt from the town hall experience, I think. I've learnt a lot about what happened there. To bring things to you as quickly as possible so you can fulfil your role as city leaders and make these decisions.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Melbourne and Penrith have staged a Golden Point thriller to open round 24 of the NRL League season. Storm hooker Harry Grants turned into Harry Houdini with a dummy in front of the post to score the try, which won the match 22-18. Netball New Zealand is combating the loss of Silver Ferns to Australia's super competition by allowing each ANZ Premiership franchise to sign 2 imports instead of 1. The first round draw for tonight's New Zealand Darts Masters has been revealed, with the top 4 seeds pitted against local Aerosmiths.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Good morning, finally Friday, and we're heading into an okay weekend, at least the first half of it, but today is dominated by a ridge of high pressure, just a weak front moving east across the lower south, and that will dish up a few showers for the deep south and over Milford Sound. Should clear by tonight, with westerlies turning northerly for Southland. Now, the developing nor'easterly will help lift temperatures today for the northern half of the island. The day itself is fine, just a few clouds around out west. Apart from the odd morning shower, today is mainly fine here. Westerlies for most, easing by the afternoon with a northerly for Wellington. It's a lovely day here. Once any frost or fog clears, winds are mostly light with a westerly for Hawke's Bay, easing this afternoon. And more fine skies for the upper north. A very cold start, but it is fine with light winds and warming to 15 or 16 degrees.
Thanks, Heather, and thanks so much for your company this morning on a Friday morning. It's been great to be with you. We'll be back from 7 o'clock on Monday. For more news in the meantime, head to nzherald.co.nz. A quick thank you to our partners before we leave this morning, as always, Forsyth Bar, You Do It, Barker's, Max, 2 Degrees, GJ Gardner, Dilmar and Noel Leeming from the team at Herald Now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday.